Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Women's Wellness Revolution. I'm so glad that you are here, and you are in for an absolute treat today because I have a woman who's become a friend, a colleague, and someone that you're going to get so much value from today. We are with Dr. Heidi Iratcabal, and she is going to share with us some information about mindset. And you might be asking, like, well, mindset, what does somebody in the medical field have to do about mindset? But let me introduce Heidi to you guys. She has such a vast wealth of knowledge, and you'll start to see what her background is and then why we would even consider mindset when we're talking about our physical and mental health. So bear with me for a moment, you guys, because this is really important. She truly has had a lifelong passion for the mind-body connection, which she uses to help unlock each person's unique ability to achieve optimal wellness and vitality. I love that. I'm all about vitality, right? You guys, I think none of us are living up to our full potential of vitality. She is a naturopathic practitioner and an Institute for Functional Medicine certified practitioner. She's board certified by the American Alternative Medical Association, a doctor of pastoral therapy, and was certified gluten practitioner. Her interests have been in alternative medicine, and it's been heightened during her time as a professional athlete, which we'll get to her little story later. But it includes a focus on chronic disease, functional endocrinology, hormone balancing, chronic pain, and athletic performance. She was in practice for 15 years at her first practice at the Center of Health based in Dallas. And then she went on to co-create and co-found Carpathia Collaboration, one of the largest functional medicine clinics in America, which has the most certified functional medicine practitioners of any site worldwide. It's amazing. And so through trial and error, her and her colleague have created a very successful blueprint that clients come in interested in functional medicine and practitioners looking for a supportive place to practice and hone their functional medicine skills. You guys, this is incredible. And ultimately, this is what she says, that I have the faith in the strength of the human spirit and the wonders of the human body. The amazing body we've been handed works great if we stay in touch with ourselves and take charge of our own wellness. And I think most of you guys know that's my big thing. I always want people to be the CEO of their own health. So I would be so blessed to have you guys have Dr. Heidi Iratcabal as our very first speaker in our Women's Wellness Revolution coming here today. So Dr. Heidi, why don't you just give a little bit more about kind of your journey, how you landed here before we get into mindset?
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me, Kelly. It's truly an honor to be the first one and just to be on it. Women over 40, that's my passion. It's the group we're in, right? And so anything to support them, and I love what you're doing with the Wellness Revolution, so anything to support you. So my story, I got into functional medicine I didn't know it was functional medicine. I got into healthcare through athletics. Everything was about the best performance I could conjure up without enhancing drugs, without cheating. It just was something I really believed we didn't need to do. And when I was first a track and field athlete and went to the University of Nebraska, I was injured and my running career came to a halt. So I moved to France and ended up bicycle racing, and I raced for the world champion, Jeannie Longo. It was the greatest, most difficult time, but what I learned from there was I encountered homeopathy and acupuncture and all these alternative modalities. And I had never felt so empowered, so strong, so healthy in my life. And my whole life was about health. So this really taught me that there are other ways to reach or speak to our body. Mm-hmm. And that's when I went into acupuncture, then felt like I needed more in my wheelhouse. I went to naturopathic school and then ultimately got certified in functional medicine. And doing all that to sort of stack the information, because the body is such an interesting layers of information. And it's all about getting the most out of our body with this incredible gift that we've been given. We don't need all these outside sources. We don't need to go buy a bunch of things. We don't need to, have a stack of supplements every day. This body is an amazing thing if we learn how to listen to it, get in tune with it, and find that vitality and that potential to wellness.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. And I think, ladies, you can probably think to yourselves that if you have children, when your children were little, so precious, and you did everything in your power to take care of them to the best of your ability. And even in our big kids today, we try to take care of them to the best of our ability. But we forget that this beautiful body, mind body that we've been given, we don't take care of it as well as we should, right? We don't nurture it. We don't put the right fuel in it. We neglect ourselves. And yes, women, I think, get slighted sometimes when you're not feeling well, that maybe that's just expected, or you're getting older, right? All of us out there.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that way. But before we even talk about what could be going on wrong with your body and what can we do to optimize our body from a health perspective, I really want to set the scene with everybody of why the mindset of your health and that you can feel better. The body is made to feel better. Why is that mindset so important moving forward? So with that, Dr. Heidi, I'm going to kind of pass it back over to you, because I know when people come into your practice, that's one of the first things you talk about is, because if we don't believe we can get better, or our mindset is like, oh, whatever, you talk this talk, but my parents had this issue and I probably will too. So it's something that you talk about first and foremost with your patients, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of the first conversation is, well, where are you in your thinking? A lot of people come in and they say, well, what do I need to do to be healthy? And I say, you don't need to do anything. You need to decide. And that's where we start talking about mindset, because there's a wonderful phrase that I love. I think it was Henry Ford that said it, was, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And that sums it up, is that we need to believe in our body, in our own resiliency, that we don't need to do a lot to find that potential. And that comes from, where is your mind? Where are your thoughts? Are your thoughts constantly criticizing yourself? I'm too fat. I'm too this. I'm too sluggish. I'm lazy. I can't. The can'ts, I can't, these belief systems keep us from ourselves. So mindset is important, because the things we do, eat right, diet, exercise, these are all activities. The sustainability of those activities is with our mindset, our decision to make those little adjustments over time until they become new habits. And we have to believe that we can do it. The mindset is absolutely everything. One example is, I'm short. I'm 5'3". I'm this little thing. And when you see most javelin throwers, they're 5'10", 6 foot tall, really large women. And so when I walked up there with this javelin, I looked like a little rag compared to them. And I was actually asked,
is she the helper?
right, I was actually asked in one international competition in Sweden by the world champion at that time, and she said, "Who are you holding that javelin for?" Like, no, I'm afraid my turn's coming up. So, but in my mind, my mindset was, my height shouldn't interfere with what I want to do. The fact that I'm a woman shouldn't interfere with it made no sense to me. Like, well, why does that make a difference? I'm going to train just as hard. I'm going to work at technique just as much. And so these were these little things that could set us back. I'm too this, I'm too that. We have to change that mindset. We can change a lot of actions, but if we want them to make an impact on our life and have sustainability, that's where the mindset comes in.
So what would you say is helpful? Because I think, those of you out there listening right now would say, yeah, okay, I get that, and that makes sense. But how do you make that shift? Because for a long time, whatever information we've been putting in, it's, comparisonitis and we've put a lot of doubt into us, or we think it's going to be too hard, too difficult, so we don't do it, right? And so in tweaking that, I know for myself, I read a lot, right? I listen to a lot of really great things. I actually read out loud some of my manifesting statements and positive thoughts every single day. But what would be things that people can get started on? How should they change their mindset? Like what would be like someone says, my mindset is so radically off pace. I need to get myself back on. So maybe what would be some tips to get them started to believe that they can feel better, they could make a change, they can lose 10 pounds, they can do whatever?
Yeah. It's such a good question. Because that is one of the things is we have the comparisonitis. I love that you said that. But the key to changing a mindset is small shifts over time. We developed bad habits because we did something over and over and over again. And now we find ourselves in it and we think, oh, I can't change this. What will I do if I don't do that? So the idea is to not set such goals that you can't achieve. You want to set yourself up for success. And success is small shifts over time. So for example, if you want to, I want to work out, and most people will go and they, go get a gym membership and they go work out for a few weeks, and then, or the piece of equipment in their house suddenly becomes the clothes hanger. Do something small, like every morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do 20 seconds of yoga. And everyone looks at me crazy, like 20 seconds, that's ridiculous. Trust me, 20 seconds can change your life. Every day for 20 seconds doing the one shift you want to make. I want to work out more. 20 seconds, I did it. There's no set a goal that you can accomplish no matter what, no matter how busy you are. 20 seconds is not a big request. Accomplish that leads to 2 minutes, 10 minutes. And then next thing you know, your habit has changed and you're not even thinking about what you used to do, right? Same thing if you want to change your diet. Don't go so severe that you're denying yourself any pleasure. Eating healthy is really a pleasurable thing. We never get to see that on TV commercials. Our friends, we've always associated a good time with excess stuff, excess food, excess alcohol, and eating healthy is boring and doesn't taste good. And I don't like healthy food, people say. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't like healthy food? Do you, you eat anything, right? So these little changes. So choose to have a healthier meal once a day. Work up to it. It's small changes over time. The other really important aspect is just like you say your affirmations, phrases, you want to put it out there. I want to do this. Like a mantra, a prayer, we really need to solidify in our mind that these are the things we want. Connect our mind with our heart and our heart with our mind. Find out what you really want and why you really want it. Mm-hmm. There's a wonderful tool. It's called the 7 Layers Deep. And it basically asks the question 7 times. What do you want? State it. Well, why do you want that? Why is that important to have? Write it down. And why is that important to have? And you go down 7 layers and keep asking, why is that answer the next important thing? And you really can get to the heart of why this change is important for you, for your soul. Mm-hmm. This is where meditation is very important. I really encourage people to start their health journey with journaling. And believe me, I came in kicking and screaming with journaling. Oh, come on. I do not want to write this down. Who's got time for that, right? Yeah. But journaling is profound because it connects the brain with an action to your heart. It's a wonderful loop. And then it also in the inverse, it can put your heart out. Your mind can see it and it becomes something actionable, something tangible, not just a thought, not just a passing feeling, but something you've written down, and you can make it part of your mindset, make it part of who you are, because that's emerging. Your potential, yourself, is emerging every time we do these activities. And meditation is a wonderful way to not only calm the mind, but to envision what we want. Mm-hmm. So there's all different kinds of meditation. A lot of times the myth or misunderstanding with meditation is that you have to sit on a cushion or on a chair and quiet your mind. Yes, that's nice, but you can also quiet your mind by focusing on what you want to achieve and go through those steps with minutiae of detail. Like, I want to work out, then envision yourself working out and have your eyes closed and really imagine you, if you're running, I'm feeling the ground. Get as much of the sensory visualization as you can. Your body doesn't know the difference, whether it's really running or you're just imagining it running. So your brain doesn't know the difference. And so that can translate to your body wanting to go in that direction because it's now has that feeling. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, you guys, that is such a true statement. And I want you guys to understand that the brain doesn't know the difference between you envisioning this picture and this movie in your head that you're playing out and actually doing it. So the power of that is huge to make yourself do that. So just to let you guys know, we didn't talk about these sorts of things before we jumped on, but this is so near and dear to my heart of making sure people really know that it is so doable. And I'm just gonna, a couple things. One, you should have already printed off your monthly toolkit. So in that, you actually have space to journal and to write. So you can write down some notes about what we're learning today and questions for upcoming when we have our Friday morning questions. So please be sure you pull that out and use it for your journal. And you certainly can just have your own little journal. If you're used to journaling or you've never journaled, I would put something by your bedside, and before you go to bed or in the morning, write 2 sentences. like she said, I also like journaling. Are you kidding me? I don't have time for that. I don't want to do it. Why would I want to do it? But it has really helped. And I would say it's the one thing I don't have 100% of a practice with, but I do it. And it really has, helped me tremendously. The other thing, ladies, I wanted to share is in one of your bonuses, you got some information from this gentleman here. Okay. Dr. Chatterjee. Dr. Chatterjee is, oh my gosh, an amazing physician. He's out in England. He learned a lot of his information from a gentleman named BJ Fogg, and BJ Fogg is a neuroscientist out of, goodness, I'm going to screw this up, either UCLA or Stanford. Sorry, UCLA and Stanford. I think it's actually Stanford. And they're talking about when, for your mindset and to be motivated and want to do something, if you set your goal really high, you've got to have super high motivation to meet that. And I think that's what happens when we like big New Year's resolutions, or you have this huge goal. Your motivation is really high when you set that goal, but man, is it hard to keep up that motivation, right? So then the goal fails. But if your goal is just this little tiny step, 20 seconds of yoga. Oh, how much motivation do you need to meet 20 seconds of yoga? Not that much. Even if you're not feeling very great for the day, like, it's 20 seconds. I can do it. You can meet that. So when you can meet that because you've made something easy enough to do, you'll find yourself surpassing your goal. And that's exactly right. Like what Dr. Heidi was saying is you'll find yourself going from 20 seconds to all of a sudden a minute or 2 minutes before you know it. And now all of a sudden it's 10 minutes you've practiced into your life. So it's these small habits. There's a book from a gentleman named James Clear about atomic habits. That's amazing. We can talk about. You guys have a little guide that I put for you together on 5 minutes of something for your heart every day, connecting with people, 5 minutes for your physical, whether you like drop down and do push-ups, right? I think we could all find 5 minutes to go for a walk or do something for our health. So for physical health, mental health, and our connection of our spirit and our heart, if we can have 5 minutes a day, that will take your mindset in places that you've never imagined before. Yeah. But most of the time we think it's an hour, and so we don't have time for the hour.
Right.
But these
We kind of
small,
go from that. We kind of go from, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we kind of go from I can't to I can with these little steps. And that transformation is always incredible to watch people achieve.
so incredible. And I think for everybody out there, there's a lot of talk about habits and small habits and stacking. There's tons of information happening right now because the science behind it is all matching. And the second part about it, as Dr. Heidi was speaking to everybody on mindset, and that, you know, whether it's a mindfulness practice, a gratitude journal, the meditation, wherever you are, and we'll talk more about all that also. The science actually has been loud for thousands of years on all of that. But here, especially those of us in the US, are just starting to adopt that and believing it's not woo-woo-y, it actually is the truth. And as a physical therapist, like for me, I'm like, oh, there's science behind all this stuff. Wow. It's really, really exciting. So open your mind to mindset, open your mind to the possibility that you could have amazing ultimate health that you've never imagined, but you've got to spend a little bit of time. And I guess I'd ask you, Dr. Heidi, if you could give everybody, you know, one tip as we're wrapping up today that people can really just open their mind of one thing to start with in this whole mindset journey of I'm going to reclaim myself, right? What would that be?
It's such a good to narrow it down to one tip. You know, if one tip would be start breathing. When we're thinking about life changes, making differences in our life or changing these things about ourselves, start with breath. Start with just sitting, thinking about what you want, breathing deeply into it. Our breath is the most powerful, mind calming, body supportive thing we have. Our cells only need two things: oxygen, glucose, right? Three things really, activation. But it's so dependent on that oxygen, and we get so stressed and so tight with I shoulda, I shoulds, I shoulds, I shoulds, I got it, that we tend to not breathe. We close our breath and we're not getting oxygen. And so it allows our mind to get tight, to get irritated, to get anxious. Take some time to just stop. Your breath is, you always have the tool to center yourself with you 24/7. It's your breath. And so to start making changes, just start taking deep breaths, taking the time to stop before you answer in a stressful situation and breathe. Before you make a big decision, breathe. I know that seems like, well, that's not really the tip I was looking for, right? Everyone wants the thing. I want the big thing, but it's not the big thing. And I think that's the whole thing Kelly and I are trying to talk about. The mindset are little things. It's the little things. And I promise you, if you start just deep breathing, and there's a lot of stuff on YouTube on Sonoma breathing and all kinds of different kinds of breath work, I would encourage everyone to just start there, because that opens your mind in a way that you can't even imagine. You think better, you focus better, your memory becomes improved with much more oxygen. And so just start breathing, and I think your next steps will come to you. You don't have to go find them. There's now space for them to come to you. Does that help?
Oh my gosh. You guys, that was gold. That was absolutely gold. And I think this is where I'm trying to bring to you, you know, experts from around the world in so many different fields to bring you value, because you could go and pay and have a session and pay literally like $350, right? Like, where do I start with a practitioner? Yes, down the road, you may need more things and you may need to go seek out somebody, but the value that you're going to get and the resources that we'll provide to you are going to allow you to make changes in your life that you will truly be a new you. So my goodness gracious, thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for educating all of us women out there, as honestly, you guys, right? We are trying to make collectively, all of us, this wellness revolution for each one of us individually and collectively together. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.